There are many ways to zoom in Sketchup. The most obvious is to roll the wheel of the mouse or drag your finger along the touch strip of your tablet. Another method is to press the Z key to activate the zoom tool, drag up to zoom in or down to zoom out. Dragging side to side doesn't do anything. I don't tend to use the zoom tool because I prefer to zoom using my input device. But the zoom tool has a convenient shortcut to field of view down here in the measurements toolbar. Let's change the field of view not by typing in this box, but rather just by starting to type on the keyboard. I'll type in 55 DEG and press return. That changes the field of view that I'm looking through. It's like changing the virtual camera lens that you're using. We started out with a narrower field of view and we increased it, so now we have more of a wide angle shot. I'll zoom in just using the regular zoom tool and orbit. We have a more dramatic view of the house because of the wide angle lens that we're looking through. There's actually an explicit tool for changing the field of view right here under zoom on the camera menu. I'll drag up to decrease the field of view, making it more of a telephoto shot. Everything tends to flatten out. If I drag down, I'm making a more wide angle shot and everything starts to get really distorted. This isn't the way to zoom into something to work on it. Field of view is more of a compositional technique. I'm going to set it back to 35 DEG and then press return. Then I'll use the zoom tool to zoom out. Another useful zoom tool is called Zoom Window, and you can activate it using Option Z with my shortcuts. The cursor changes to this symbol, indicating that you can drag out a window. This is nice because you can get right to the place where you want to work without having to navigate there. I saved myself having to pan and zoom a few times to get right up close and personal with this window. Now let's say that I want to go back to where I was before. You don't want to use undo for that because undo takes away the last geometry change that you made. It doesn't affect what you've done with the camera. Instead, what you want to do is press Ctrl Z to go zoom previous. Okay, now I'm a bit indecisive. Maybe I do want to go back to that window. Instead of doing zoom window again, I can press Ctrl Shift Z to zoom next. Zoom previous and zoom next don't just record zoom changes. They record all changes that you make to the camera. Let's say I go over here, orbit, pan, zoom in some more, and then I want to go back. I'll press Ctrl Z a few times to go back. Or maybe I want to go forward. I can press Ctrl Shift Z to return through those list of changes that I've made to the camera. To get an overview of the entire model, use Zoom Extents, which is Shift Z with my shortcuts. If you want to work in detail on a specific object, right-click on it and choose Zoom Extents from the context menu. This actually does something different. It zooms you into the extents of the selection. Now I can orbit and work on this particular object. There's a Ruby script which combines the functionality of Zoom Extents on the context menu, which is actually Zoom Extents selection, with the Zoom Extents that you find on the camera menu, which is actually Zoom Extents out to the whole model. I like this Ruby script because I don't have to think about it once it's installed. I can just use it and it will take me either to the extents of the model or into a selection when I call for it. Let's take a look at it in the Finder. It's called zoom_selection.rb, and it's written by Jim Fultz. You can Google his name and find it. It adds two items to the camera menu, zoom selection and zoom out. Let's see how it works. I have this edge selected. I'll choose camera, zoom selection, and I zoom right into it. If I deselect by clicking off to the side, and I use the same command, it will do a zoom extents. So it chooses for me, depending on what's selected or not selected. I'd like to use this all the time, so I'll go up to Preferences and filter the commands for zoom. You can see right here that Shift Z is currently zoom extents. I want to change that to this new command added by Jim Fultz's script, to Shift Z. When I do that, there's a name collision, so I have to choose to replace the existing shortcut. So now Shift Z is actually zoom selection. We get zoom out just kind of as a bonus. Zoom out just takes you out a bit. I'll do Shift Z to zoom extents, and then I'll click on something and do Shift Z again, and now I can work on it.